Holly might know, but she's out front. Holly might have them all written down. Who are we missing? There comes Linda. Here comes Linda. She's actually on time. Ready?
We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. Clerk will read the roll.
Baylor, Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Kamer, Lombardo, McKittrick, Malik, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky.
For those who voluntarily wish to do so, will you please stand at this time as we are led in prayer by Pastor Jeffrey Bell from Holiness Church of Christ. Immediately following our prayer, we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jeff Fusco.
Thank you. I just want to say before I pray, I get an opportunity to do this, so I want to thank you all for being our community ministers and all the sacrifices that you make to your families for us and on the benefit of our great city. I want to say thank you and God bless you. Let's bow our heads in prayer. Father, we do thank you for this day, this great opportunity that you've blessed us with to be a part of this great congregation. And we have assembled today for the issues and for the problems of our community to be the solutions. We ask now that you would give wisdom, that you would give knowledge, that you would give understanding and direction, that you can carry out these plans for the benefit of our great city. And Father, we do thank you for all these that have given up their lives for us. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from our previously held meeting have already been provided to all council members. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Is there a motion to approve? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay. Roll call on the minutes. Baylor, Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Kamer, Lombardo, McKittrick, Malik, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky.
We have no items on the consent agenda tonight, so we'll move right into our old business, planning and economic development. Councilman Fusco.
Time on the agenda.
Time will be granted. We're going to move into new legislation.
Okay. Item number 1, offered by Councilwoman Amobian, a resolution acknowledging the service and dedication of Congressman John Lewis, wishing him well and for a speedy recovery and declaring emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Yes, the committee's report's favorable. We're asking for passage and going to defer to Ms. Amobian for any comments.
Thank you, Councilman Freeman. I just rise to say that all of us are grieving and wishing the congressman well. For those of you who are familiar with Congressman Lewis, you know that he has served this country for most of his life, since 1986. And prior to that, he became famous because he marched with Dr. Martin Luther King and did a lot in the civil rights movement. We recently learned, as most of you did, that he is suffering from advanced stage of pancreatic cancer. And he is 79 years old and will be 80 in February. And I think we just want to send him well wishes and thank him for his service, because what he has done for the state of Georgia, he has done for this country and the world, and we certainly appreciate all he has done. So I just would like to offer this to all of the council and the mayor as a whole and send him our well wishes, and hopefully he'll get this and know that we are praying for him and thinking about him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any objections to suspension of the rules? So seeing and hearing none, the committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage: Baylor, Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Kamer, Lombardo, McKittrick, Malik, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky. Item number 2, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the issuance of a bond of the city in a principal amount not to exceed $13,500,000 for the sale to the Water Pollution Control Fund of the State of Ohio to finance the cost of improvements to the city's wastewater system, pledging certain revenues from the city's wastewater system on a subordinated basis to secure the payment of the principal and of the interest on the bond, authorizing execution and delivery of the bond, the trust agreement, and other documents, and taking of other actions related to the issuance and sale of the bond, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's requested this item be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 2, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the issuance of a bond of the city in a principal amount not to exceed $2,500,000 for the sale to the Water Pollution Control Loan Fund of the State of Ohio to finance the cost of improvements to the city's wastewater system, pledging certain revenues from the city's wastewater system on a subordinated basis to secure the payment of the principal and of the interest of the bond, and authorizing the execution and delivery of the bond, the trust agreement, and other documents, and taking other actions related to the issuance and sale of the bond, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman.
Committee's requested that this item be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 4, offered by Fusco. Resolution adopting the 2020 Capital Investment and Community Development Program, legally referred to as the Capital Investment Budget, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
I'd also like to remind council that we'll have a public hearing on the 27th, and also that afternoon around 4 o'clock we'll begin the budget review. So just warning everyone, it's coming.
Thank you. This item will be referred.
Okay, item number 5, offered by Fusco. A resolution approving and confirming the appointments of Mayor Daniel Horrigan, Chris Luddle, Thomas Tatum, Helen Tomick, Rich Swirsky, Brad McKittrick, Sharon Connor for the year 2020 as members of the Northeast Ohio 4-County Regional Planning and Development Organization, otherwise known as NEFCO, with alternates Sam DeShazier, Mayor Horrigan, for Mayor Horrigan, Michelle DeFiore for Chris Luddle, Jim Ashley for Tom Tatum, and Abraham Westcott for Helen Tomick, and declared emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco. Ordinance approving the sale of city-owned properties pursuant to the city's A Lot for Little program in order to facilitate the productive reuse of the property and to reduce the cost to the city and the taxpayers in maintaining vacant lots, determining said property is not needed for public use, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
Consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 7, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the deputy mayor for the integrated development to enter into a lease agreement with the Akron Children's Museum to increase the amount of lease space and to expand the museum for the children to further encourage learning through fun, interactive, and active play, and declare an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 8, offered by Samples. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into an agreement and/or legislation with the Ohio Director of Transportation for certain improvements to US 224 and declare an emergency.
Councilperson Samples?
Thank you, Madam President. The committee is requesting that this item be placed on the consent agenda.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 9, offered by Samples. Resolution declaring it necessary to improve Ascot Parkway from State Road to the dead end, resulting in a cul-de-sac by constructing, paving, grading, curbs, driveway approaches, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, and water mains, and declare an emergency.
Councilperson Samples?
Consent agenda, please.
This item will be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 10, offered by Samples. Ordinance approving and confirming the appointments of Steve Fricker and Councilperson Sharon Connor as trustees to the Summit Akron Solid Waste Management Authority Board, and Cindy Donnell and Robert Harris as their respective alternates for terms ending February 28, 2022, and declare an emergency.
Councilperson Samples?
Thank you, Madam President. This item also on the consent agenda.
This item will also be placed on the consent agenda.
Item number 11, offered by Kamer. Ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent, without the formality of advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts with Cuyahoga Falls Police Department for use of its training center and range by the City of Akron Police Department Training Academy, and declare an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules, please.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. This is basically to collaborate with the City of Cuyahoga Falls and their police department to obviously advance our recruits in our police department by using their training center and range, and we're asking for passage.
The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Baylor, Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Kamer, Lombardo, McKittrick, Malik, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Tversky. Item number 12, offered by Councilman Freeman. Resolution opposing the parole of convicted murderer Arkamel Sales and urging the Ohio Patrol Board to deny his request for release and declare an emergency.
Councilman Kamer?
Thank you. Committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Any objections? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll refer to the Ward 9 Councilman Mike Freeman for any comments.
Thank you, Chairman. September 16th, 1979, a night I'll never forget, and a night that a man chose to plunge a screwdriver into the body of a friend 17 times. And I'm being graphic because I think the heinous nature of this crime, we deserve to know that a family was affected, that the plans for a 50th wedding anniversary were brought to an end, and that 5 children, a host of grandchildren, and extended family were robbed of a precious woman for the rest of their life. And it's my firm commitment, as long as I'm on this council, that every year when Arkamel Sales, every 3rd year when his parole hearing comes up, that I will stand on the behalf of the family and on behalf of my constituents and ask that the Ohio Parole Board deny this. And I just ask my fellow council people that they would join me in this opposition to this hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. The rules have been suspended, and the committee's report is favorable. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Roll call and final passage. Baylor, Connor, Freeman, Fusco, Kamer, Lombardo, McKittrick, Malik, Neal, Amobian, Samples, Somerville, Swirsky.
We will now go to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. So if there's anyone here in the audience that wishes to speak during our public comment period, and if you have already filled out a public comment request form, we're going to ask that you please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in, and then we'll proceed with our public comment process.
Okay, if you would, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the statements you're about to give are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. Thank you.
When you hear your name, we're going to ask that you please approach the podium. We're going to ask for you to give us your name and your address. Speakers, we want you to know that you will have 3 minutes to speak to council on tonight. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting, so remarks should be kept germane to council business. Speakers should refrain from making any personal attacks. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers. Teresa Gussie.
Teresa Gussie, 1213 Beardsley, Ward 7. I would like to discuss 355 Morgan Street, but Tara already told me that somebody bought it and that they're going to tear it down maybe this spring. How about that, John? And the one at South and Grant Street, the old Greyhound building, I don't know if the new people know about this, but it's got a big hole in it, and I think homeless people are sneaking in and people are coming in because it's big enough now that they can, it's been boarded up. Good, John. But they've made a bigger hole there. And Kenmore Boulevard, I wish they would go back to the 2 lanes. I talked to Mike Freeman about it before the meeting, and he told me that they were going to get a special place for the buses, because when the buses go down in the 1 lane that's towards the center, you're behind it, and these people are coming around and going around us, and I've almost seen accidents, and Mike said his wife was almost in an accident, and I wish you would reconsider. They have those little plastic things over there, but when it snows and stuff, you can't see the lines that they're blocked off. And I hope that everybody, I wish that you all would have, and maybe make I didn't put this on the thing, but maybe you would make a rule that every one of you have a meeting at least once a month, or maybe every other month or something, that you meet with your constituents at a community house, or like the library, like some people have done, and meet with people. Even though we're not in your ward, you affect all of us because you're on the committees that vote for the money, and I know you've listened to me, and I'm glad to see new faces, and I hope everybody has a nice new year, and good luck with your council jobs.
Thank you, Mrs. Gussie. John Sharp.
John Wesley Sharp, attorney and counselor at law, 730 Callis Drive, apartment 1201. I graduated from Georgetown Law School, worked for the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in Washington, D.C., and past president of the Akron NAACP. I worked for the Summit County Prosecutor's Office for 14 years. I became and stayed depressed for 15 years. Subsequently, I won 4 and lost 2 jury trials. I won 2 appeals and lost 1, and I lost 1 employment discrimination case in federal court. Currently, I'm legal counsel to the Coalition for a Safe Community, which fights police brutality and other misbehavior in the criminal justice system. Prejudice, discrimination, and racism keep me up at night. I feel a personal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp. Fatima?
Hi, I'm Fatima Rita, 967 Concord Avenue, Akron, Ohio. 2 subjects. First of all, the water department, water, sewer, and trash billing. I have spoken on this before. I would like to see some changes made so that either the tenant's 100% responsible, or if not, something like collect a deposit from the tenant, and if they don't pay 1 month, the next month they should pay all of it. Don't let it keep going on and on and on, and just pay a little bit every month. I have one tenant that unfortunately the city says just pay a little bit here and we keep it on, and your bill's like over $700, and as soon as she pays a little bit, then the next bill comes up, and by the time you get the next bill, it's still like a month behind. So I would like to see something done on that. Now, currently, I do not let the tenants pay the water bill. If the rent is $700, I make it $800, and I'll pay the first $100 worth of water bill. If it goes over that, then the tenant should pay the extra. So that's kind of how I'm doing it, but that sometimes people don't like that. Ultimately, it would be nice to have the tenant be completely responsible for it and not come back on the landlord. I am a landlord. That is my business. That is how I make my money, pay my bills, pay my taxes. And I know there's a lot of talk on the tenant eviction situations, and I know that your statistics say that they're high. I still question if a person doesn't pay, whether the statistics are high or low. That's my occupation. I don't come to the city and say something like, geez, I'm evicting them, they're not paying me, do I have to pay my city taxes? No, you still have to pay your taxes every time they come due here. So that's part of my income. I want to give you an example of a couple tenants. I have one house that's a small little house. Its rent was $500 plus $75 for the water bill. A woman moved in. She was making enough money to pay me. She's kind of paid me sloppy. She moves in boyfriend who is working. And long story short, she paid me 3 times to get the rent paid last month. I filed the eviction and I set her out. And the rent was only $575 with me paying the water bill. Now, it bothers me when I go over there and they're smoking. Cigarettes are expensive. She changed the locks. She would not let me in. And I still question, how do I get into my house to see what's going on, if there was something evil or just, you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Then I had another tenant at another house. She was on Section 8. She paid 0 rent and lived there for no payments whatsoever. She got behind on her utilities. An organization paid for her all her utilities, and it was like $700 that she got paid for, and then she still didn't pay for the utilities. She would not let me in the house. She had 2 dogs, a couple of cats, called the police, and they, police couldn't let me in. A long story short, I evicted her. So I have to pay my bills. I try to pick people that I think are good, and they start out good, something happens or whatever, and it doesn't happen the way it should.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ritter, for sharing. Mark?
Hi, my name is Mark Northup. My address is 1890 South Arlington. That's actually the address of a business I just bought. On December 16th, you voted on the endorsement of my liquor license and you voted it down. And I understand why you voted it down, because the bar has a troublesome history when it was under the former owner. I purchased the bar and the former owner is completely out of the picture, and I have plans to rehab the bar, but I need the endorsement from the city on my liquor license to do that. I've already purchased one bar in the past, Centerfolds, which was a troublesome bar where people actually got murdered. I completely rehabbed it, converted it into a sports bar, and that bar is still open today as a bar that causes no trouble. So for the endorsement for my liquor license, I'm formally asking to put it back on a petition and have it voted on again, because the state's inspected the bar. The bar is really nice physically, and obviously I passed the background, and the only thing holding the license up is that the city did not endorse it. But I'm willing to sit down with Councilman McKittrick, because it's in his ward, and discuss my plans with the bar in detail. And I'm a former Akron officer, so I have years of experience in bar security. My last 5 years as an officer, I was Car 1, which meant all I did was deal with bars and bar security.
Thank you so much, Mark, for sharing. I'm going to ask that maybe after the meeting, if you can get with Councilman McKittrick.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Harrington Hargrove.
Good evening, Council. Happy New Year's. It's always a treat to see you. I'm here in reference to economic development and the black community. I'm asking this body to do something to uplift the entire city. It's not one race that votes for this council. It's all the people. And this council should represent all the people in all matters. And economic is important to everyone. And in Ward 3, we've been denied, redlined, discriminated. Council need to step up and do something. Make a formal plan that's going to uplift the community, not pacify one or two people. We need uplifting. So council, please, I've been asking you guys this for years and years and years. Please help the black community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. Walid?
Good evening, Council. My name is Walid Kakish, 894 Eva. I believe that's Ward 7. I'm actually, Fatima's my mom. I've been helping out with real estate for 26 years. Yes, I look young. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old. So I think what's important is when I saw the article in December 16th in the Akron Beacon Journal describing, the rent and the hardships tenants face, what my mom didn't tell you was she had a house on Frederick on the corner of Royal, and where there was a tenant that fell behind. She lived there about 2 to 3 years and fell behind almost 7 months. My mom did everything that she could to try and work with this person. So it is important for us to see Akron do well. My mom refuses to rent outside of Akron. I said, hey, we're losing jobs, we're losing people, go somewhere better. She refuses. And like many of the people, I'd also like to thank Councilman Neal. He was the only person, I believe, to speak to the Akron RIA about some of the issues that we face. And specifically, I wanted to go into rules 29 and 39 in regards to trying to get tenants the help that they need. As I said, we try and do what we can to help them out. It's very important to us. I think there was somebody that actually mentioned to my mom after a house had gotten broken into off of Thornton that, hey, you know what, you need to carry a gun. My mom said, absolutely not. I mean, she believes in this town, so I think it's, important that you guys believe in the landlords that do whatever they can to make this place, safe. I mean, our rents have not kept up with inflation. And if you look at the average data for the rent in Akron, it's $680. Mm-hmm. They did not put that in the Akron Beacon Journal article. I don't know where Fair Housing got their numbers. They said it went from 1,000 to 2,000. Use that same data from the Princeton lab, it'll tell you. Compare that data to Canton, Detroit, Youngstown. I see people say that they're struggling here in Akron. It's true. I mean, we got to do what we can. I heard Amazon's come and do a little bit more. It's fine. My mom is willing to help. I mean, we house refugees, try and teach them how to use a toilet, okay? How to use a shower. We do what we can. And this isn't just her, it's other landlords trying to do this. So it's important that you take it in consideration. And if any of you councilmen and women want to come and see what we deal with on a daily basis, you're more than welcome to. If you want to see the houses with roaches crawling up the walls, please come. If you want to see us try and help tenants, trying to give these young kids to help out, my mom has taken some of these kids and say, hey, you know what, do you want to help out? Do you want to help shovel? Do you want to make a few bucks? Do you want to, I'll get you guys some ice cream, just trying to help out. So I think it's important that you guys realize that we are human. We want the city of Akron, Summit County, and Northeast Ohio to do well. So it is not our fault that, some of these people can't pay. Do a better job of trying to bring in companies, jobs. That's going to help all these people who talk about the hardships that they face, the depression that they see.
Sir, I'm sorry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walid. Joshua Schaefer.
Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen of the public. Before my planned speech today, I want to talk about the new council rules. Basically, it's completely unconstitutional for this body to limit speech based on context. The Supreme Court ruled in 2018, Lozman versus City of Riviera Beach, that Mr. Lozman was unconstitutionally arrested after speaking about matters that did not relate to council business. Furthermore, it is unconstitutional to require people to fill out a form to speak. In Watchtower Bible Tract Society of New York versus the Village of Stratton, Ohio, the court said it is offensive, not only to the values of protected by the First Amendment, but to the very notion of a free society that in the context of everyday public discourse, a citizen must first inform the government of her desire to speak. So, offensive is not my opinion. That's the Supreme Court's opinion on requiring people to fill out applications to speak. So now to my original speech. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Joshua Schaefer. I'm here today to announce my candidacy for the mayor of Akron in 2023. And for years, I've been trying to get a meeting with the mayor. It's been a pretty uphill battle. Still haven't gotten a meeting with the mayor, and I decided that sometimes if you can't do things, you can't get things done right, you got to do them yourself. So that's why I'm here today. I believe in term limits, and I believe that once the mayor has served his 8 years in office, that somebody else should be given a chance, and I think that somebody is going to be me. Spending too much time as a politician makes the politicians out of reach with the people. I will make it a point to set aside 2 hours every business day to meet with people, to meet with my constituents in my office, on the bus, in the hospitals, at libraries, wherever they are. I will take the bus to work every day and talk to the people on the bus about how we can help the residents of our city by reaching out to the residents of our city on a daily basis. And finally, we're going to legalize marijuana in the city limits, and we're going to use that money to pay for mental health care services, for police training, for addiction services, and for pay raises for our first responders. They deserve it. That's my bold, progressive view of our future, and I thank you so much.
Thank you, Joshua Schaefer. Carol Coleman Crane.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Some new faces. Those of you that don't know me, I am Carol Coleman Crane, and I own Team Towing and Service on Carroll Street in Ward 5. I've been in business since 2015. Since that time, we've grown to 12. We have 12 flatbeds. We have 4 wreckers, 25-ton, 16-ton, 6 service vehicles, and we provide 24-hour towing to the city of Akron. We provide it for we provide about 40% of service to AAA members who are the city of Akron residents, Summit County. Many of you we provided service to. I was approved for an impound lot in April of 2016. Since that time, I have been also towing for the Ohio Highway Patrol, as well as the United States Postal Service, and various people that are not affiliated with a auto repair, just for the public. So we have 24-hour dispatching, and like I said, an improved impound lot. I am an approved minority business owner, and I have been asking for inclusion with the towing for the APD. Akron towing districts are sectioned into 7 different districts. There are 5 towing companies providing services to APD for the city of Akron, which that means that 2 of them have 2 areas apiece, one of them being in the District 5 with the lovely Tara. And I would like inclusion into the towing districts for the city of Akron. And I have all the ORC requirements and have for the last few years. Anytime you have any questions, you may contact me or send me an email or stop by at my location at 645 Carroll Street. We're there 24 hours a day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Crane. We will now move into our committee assignments. Councilman Freeman, Rules. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilperson Samples. Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Swirsky. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer.
215.
Parks and Rec, Councilman Neal.
145.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Health and Social Services, Councilperson Amobian. Is there anything else coming before council? Seeing no objections, we're adjourned.
Beautiful. What changes were?
For planning, that's it.
Wasn't there one over here? They'll get it, though.
I don't know who has the contract for APD right now. It was Miller's.
And it's like several
the
of them,
small
there's
ones?
7 areas, so.
Did you? Good. I was going to say, write it down, put it on my desk.
Going to tow a car that's got a suspended license, that's one thing, but I think Miller's has a contract for city vehicles, like when a cruiser breaks down.
Yeah, that's, yeah, you're right. City.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.